Hello everyone, Christian here. I want you to take a look at these features I'm talking about today, take some notes and go implement them on your Shopify store. Look, your website doesn't need to be dull or boring. You do not want your store to look exactly like the rest that are using the exact same theme. It takes less than a second for a customer to form an opinion about your store. So store branding is something we don't talk much in this channel, but it is absolutely crucial to make a strong first impression. So to help you out a bit, I've gathered some of the favorite websites. I try to look for websites that we haven't talked about before on some of the previous videos. And some of these websites are just nailing just different aspects of design on their website. They're unique. Sometimes it makes them stronger, and I'll tell you why they're good, and most importantly, what things you can actually steal to implement on your own website design. First off, we have Patagonia. Patagonia, it's an amazing company, and even more amazing now that the owner completely donated his company to a nonprofit, and all the profits that come from this are going to go and help the world be more sustainable, and for us to still have a world for the future, right? Which I think it's absolutely amazing. So Patagonia is going to be the very first one that we're going to hit upon. The way that I want to break this down is each of these websites that I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to try just to hit on that one thing, right, that makes it very unique in terms of branding, in terms of that uniqueness, just so you can actually stand out a bit. With Patagonia, one of the most important things here is the use of color. So we're right here on a product page for a kid's lightweight graphic hoodie, kind of sweatshirt. As you can see, they have the images. We have the different color variations. We have the different size variations. We have the add to bag. Right now, everything here on this page in terms of color, it looks pretty black and white, right? Sections are pretty black and white. Buttons are pretty black and white too. So nothing really stands out in terms of buttons. Now, the cool thing about it is that, I guess right now, the very top right here, this bar catches your attention because it has a gradient that is changing from purple to kind of like a pink, purple to like a pink blush, going back and forth. And it has some sort of a gradient. But everything else on here, it's just very black and white. Now, the cool thing about it is that when you click on the item that you want, then you see the color, right? You see that unique color for the most important button in the product page. And that's something that I wanted to reiterate because a lot of people are not paying attention to the most important button on their product page, which is going to be that add to cart, or in this case is add to bag. And as you can see, this button lights up when you actually make the selection that you want on this page. So nowhere else do you see that color except for that add to cart or add to bag. So that's something that I would want every single one of you to start implementing today. If you don't have a color swatch for your company, you could be very black and white like Patagonia is right here. But having that pop of color for, again, the most important button, is gonna take you bounds and leaps higher than anyone else out there. A lot of people don't pay attention to this, but this is super, super important. If you don't have color swatches set up for your brand, then I would highly suggest to just get on board with, hey, these are gonna be the 5 colors that we use for a company, and then also place a priority on these colors, right? A lot of times, even for ourselves, when we're building brand identities and we put the brand guidelines together, a lot of times we just put the same size as, for example, circles, right? We have 5 circles and each of them represent the different colors for the company, or maybe squares. But even better and beyond than that, it's the size of the squares, right? How long they are represent how often you use that particular color. So for Patagonia right here on the product page, it's you have, black and white, and then you have the orange, just a little bit smaller there, but it still pops compared to all the other colors. And that's really what you want. You want to stay consistent with your colors and use them very cleverly, just like Patagonia has done here on this product page. Now, not all of the examples that we have today are clothing brands, and I know we tried to emphasize more on the clothing brands, but I think that there was a little bit of everything mixed in here just so that we can, again, just grab things and steal things from other verticals that it still works, right? At the end of the day, they're still e-commerce stores. A lot of the things that we're gonna be talking about today are not necessarily clothing, but you can still apply them for your clothing store. And if you're not clothing, you can still apply some of these. The next one we have here is Nugget. Nugget, I believe the main thing they sell is these sort of padded, I guess, furniture. Yeah, it's part furniture, part toy. It's for kids to play around, and in them you can make them into like little pyramids. You can make them up against walls. Like, they're very modular type of furniture for kids, which is really, really cool. Now, the great thing that they're doing here in terms of branding is the custom illustrations to match the uniqueness of this product, right? So again, because this product is universal and it has a lot of different applications where you can mold it into different things, then they've taken the actual product, they've taken the actual customers, who are the kids, and then they've even expanded upon that and you know, have the imagination of what the kids would probably go into when they start using some of their products, right? So as you can see these illustrations here on this one, it's kind of like a moon base or moon landing. You have the kids wearing the helmets, and then in the background you have some illustrations with some mountain range, maybe a moon or a sun. For this one right here, you have like explore the great indoors. So you have the illustrations with palm trees and different palms. You have them sort of like exploring like a jungle. And then for this one, you're like making waves, right? So you're in the sea. This is the boat now. You have the kid with the, what is it? It's not a binocular. The single one, I don't know what it's called. And then you have a little shark over here as far as illustration. So they're blending their product along with some custom illustrations to complement the products and reinforce the fact that this is a kid's brand, right? And a lot of their products are going to be used just like this, right? They're giving use cases and just kind of showcasing how your kids might play with some of these products, which is absolutely amazing. I do believe that we'll talk a little bit more about custom illustrations and things like this, but this example, I just thought it was really great because they're incorporating the illustration with the actual product. And again, that's something very unique that I haven't seen done with a lot of customers. So again, this could be something that if you have a clothing brand or even something different on how you can display your products and not just have like a plain old white background or maybe like a nice set like this. You can still have the plain old white background, but maybe add some illustrations that again tie back to your brand and who you are and who are your customers in order to really cement the two together, right? Again, I think Nugget is doing a really good job here. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit further along with some other custom illustrations that we have some other websites. All right, next up we have Purple. Now, Purple mattresses, apparently they're amazing. I've only experienced them at a mattress firm where I was just kind of like, hey, I want to check this out. And I do remember they had some really clever and good commercials, I think with the egg experiment and all that kind of stuff. So they're always top of mind when I think about e-commerce websites. Now we are on the product page for just, I think the regular, Purple mattress. As you can see, I mean, it's just a really nice, clean product page for them. A lot of different options, a lot of different things in here. To be honest, really well put together. And if you want like best practices as far as like what you need to have on your product page, they're touching almost on every single thing. Now, the number one thing that we do want to talk about and touch on this particular page is these right here. So they have like a let's answer some questions. So it's kind of like a FAQ type section, but they've done short videos or custom GIFs to show customers how to use the product, which I think it's absolutely amazing. In a very short clip, you can kind of see how the product molds to your body. You can actually see a real life example here of someone actually going in, sort of like laying down, right, on the bed. And again, just more pressure, for example, on this video right here, to kind of show you again how the product works and molds to your body. This is something, again, very, very unique to them. They actually custom created these videos for this actual product. So each individual product in their store may have different videos or different GIFs in order to, again, match the branding of their actual product and then match the actual content for this product page. Super, super important. We've talked about video before in the past for our product descriptions and different things like that. This takes it a little bit step further. With clothing, it might be even just little clips of like just you kind of like showcasing the product. You can still make them GIFs, so it's just like a very quick thing, like 1 second just kind of loop, right, where you're showcasing the product even a little bit further than a regular picture would. And again, this is just kind of tying back to what can you do different, right, with your store and with your branding, so your store doesn't look boring and just like the other ones. All right, so next up we have the Foggy Dog. I think that Foggy Dog we featured in the past. Now, the thing about branding is that it's not always about the videos or the content or the imagery or the colors. It could also have everything to do with the language, the tone, the use of words within your audio, within your website. And this is something that Foggy Dog is doing really, really well. Again, they understand the audience, they understand the way they talk, and then it's very much of a tongue-in-cheek, right, type verbiage in here, where, for example, if you have this pop-up right here, it says join the pack, whereas any other normal boring website where it comes with a template, you would have something that says subscribe now or subscribe to our newsletter, right? Like, how boring is it to just include subscribe to our newsletter when you could do something fun like join the pack, right? When you think about pack, you think about like a pack of dogs, etc. So it's just like a good way to, again, introduce your brand is by the use of language, tone, and fun words, again, to bring in the audience into your company as a whole. So it's not just like your products and your customer service and all that kind of stuff. It's also the way that you talk to your customers. That's going to be awesome. This one in particular is actually a 404 page. And I thought it was cool because, again, if you think about a 404 page, that's probably one of the most boring pages out there. And a couple things that they're doing really well here is obviously they use the language. So instead of saying 404 error or sorry we couldn't find this, it's like doggone it. So again, they're just playing words with the word dog in there, and just like phrases that people would say whenever they can't find something, right? So it's very clever use of language. And then it says here we can't seem to find that page, so they're still giving you the normal language in there. A couple things that they're doing really well in here as well, besides the branding and the language, is making sure that you have one, either a search box, or two, a link to shop something, right? So even if your 404 page, or maybe they've searched for something and there's no results, still give them a way to go to that next step. So in here it says like, we can't seem to find that product or that page, but you can click here to shop our best sellers. And that's something very important that everyone should be doing, is every page, no matter what type of page it is, it needs to have some sort of call to action, take them back to products some way or another. And they've done that here with the actual link to go to shop bestsellers and the actual search box in here. And then they've even done a little customer favorite right underneath. So they're actually even showcasing products with a page that typically wouldn't have any products. So really, really good job here for the Foggy Dog. Now we have a lot more in stock for you. And before we get to that, I just want to say bienvenidos. My name is Christian Piñon, one of the co-founders here at Better Branding. We're an e-commerce growth agency that specializes in helping clothing stores grow and scale profitably online. We drop new videos every week, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss out. Or if you don't like notifications, then don't turn on notifications. Kind of counterintuitive there, but if you like our content, please subscribe. That would really help us out a lot. All right, this next example is Says Gaw. I think that's how you say it, Says Gaw. I thought it was a very clever name and unique and different, I would say. But more importantly than that, the main thing on this website is the use of nostalgia and the use of emojis to insert personality into your brand. Obviously, not every brand is going to be successful at, for example, using emojis right within their store or inserting that nostalgia into it. So again, it depends on your personality. It depends on the personality of the brand and what you stand for, right, as a brand. So for them, it absolutely makes sense. As you can see, they're using emojis here at the very top of the navigation. They're using, or the announcement bar, they're using emojis in the navigation. In order for you to get to the cart, it's actually the emoji cart in there. You can see the fall edit, it has the leaves in there. So all throughout their site, they're using emojis. Right in front, I guess, look, denim has an emoji, tops has an emoji, sweaters has an emoji. So everything has an emoji. And again, it just adds a little bit of personality to the brand, adds a little bit of flair to it. And as you can see by me just playing around and moving around this store, you have these little stars following you around with the mouse, which is that little part of nostalgia in there. If you're a millennial, you probably remember when you would just go to sites and you would have that thing, something follow you around with the mouse. And this one in particular is just like stars, but I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I think you could customize that on MySpace where you could actually have different things follow you around with your mouse. And it's just like a nice little, fun little gag. Some people might find it annoying, but again, if they're using this on their website, it must mean that it's working for them, right? Somehow. So it doesn't have to be necessarily that you insert this little thing that follows you around with the stars with your mouse, but inserting nostalgia into your branding is a surefire way to, again, if that's part of your audience, right? Let's say millennials are part of your audience, then how do you cater to them that part of nostalgia, right? What can you insert on your website that will kind of make them remember the 90s, I would say, right? Doing little things like this does help you, again, reinforce the brand to your audience. And again, it's just like nice little fun Easter eggs that makes it a little bit of a better experience. Next up, we have Leaf. And for them, the biggest thing that you could steal from them and incorporate in your store is using non-uniform sections and backgrounds, again, that match back to your brand. So for example, they have a lot of different picture frames and sort of home decor in here. But as you can see, like all their background images are slightly different, but they still have the same sort of earth tone white colors for all their photography. So everything looks different, but at the same time, it looks like it match, right? And it's not the same old just boring white background on something, and it's not something super busy either. The products actually pop. You can actually appreciate the product, and you can appreciate the consistency, right, throughout this collection page. Now, the other big thing is the use of those non-uniform sections. So if you can see the very top here, this announcement bar, instead of being your typical like boring square, they actually have some texture. They're having some texture dividing those two sections up. You can barely see it, but it's just very subtly well done in there. And then the other big thing that I saw was right over here on the pagination for the collection page. You can see like this little sort of paint stroke right underneath it. Again, you're reinforcing that, hey, there's more pages here in a fun way that, again, matches back to your brand and kind of like these earth tone white colors. So, I mean, for the most part, this website as a whole doesn't have a lot of color, but it's the subtleness, right, of what they're using with that little color all throughout. They could have been like, we just want this white and like black text and that's it. But they're inserting these little things, and then with the product photography, it makes them look very, very unique compared to anything else that we've seen out there. All right, next up we have Meow Meow Tweet. I don't think I've ever heard of them. I don't even know how I came up about their store, but they have facial products, so lip balms, scrubbers, ointments, face cleansers, oils, and all that kind of stuff. Their branding is, again, very unique. Their name of the company is very unique, Meow Meow Tweet. Their website is meowmeowtweet.com. One, I think their colors are really well put together. It's like these pastels, but at the same time, they have these like bright neon products in here, just showcasing right at the top. But anyways, the biggest thing with Meow Meow Tweet, again, going back to illustrations that we were talking about in Nugget, is the unique illustrations that they're using. And to be honest, it's like the fact that they have the illustrations on their product packaging. So you can see like this little cat in here. You can see like a little mug, looks like with a hand and maybe like a cloud for this face toner. And these illustrations are in the packaging, but they are also alive within the website. So as you can see here, We have the meow and the tweet and the sock. I don't know what the sock necessarily represents, but again, it's very unique to their brand. This is not something that they got from Google or some random stock website. They're actually creating these unique illustrations because it matches the name of their brand, it matches their personality. They obviously have it in their product packaging, so including it, inserting that into the website, it just makes sense, right? You're trying to unify the whole experience, right? If you have these illustrations on social media, then insert it on the website, insert them on the product packaging, just makes sense. They also have a little bit of that unique language right throughout the website. So like, what's the buzz with a lot of Z's? And then where's the other, like the official stuff. So, and then here over here, this button says get back up. So it's just like, again, very subtle and like little things where they're having fun with their language and how they talk to their customers, because their customers might be a younger demographic, and that's how they speak to each other. So like the brand side of things should be speaking to that audience, right? And what better way to do it than just subtly doing it all throughout your website with some of these things. Obviously there's places where you could overdo it, and we definitely don't want that. We still want to be clear with your language and the things that you're saying, so that it's clear about what this section is all about, but at the same time, you know, including puns and figuring out fun ways to say the same thing without deviating too much from the actual content that will be in there. Obviously they're using video as well as part of their their branding and how to use products, which is very, very important. When you have products like these where you're trying to showcase to your customers how to use them, video is going to be the best way. And you think about like, okay, this is a soap, but still, it reinforces the brand in there, right? The product packaging just has all those illustrations, so it just makes it really fun and unique. Steal that, create some unique illustrations, figure out ways to change your language in your store, and see how that works for you. Hey, I want to let you in on a little secret. We're using a tool called TripleWill for all of our client and group coaching members. And this powerhouse of a tool allows us to see the lifetime value of a customer at 30, 60, and 90 days. But what we're most excited about is the estimated action of customers. So imagine being able to send out emails or run ad campaigns to customers who are likely to buy from you a second or third time, and knowing when to send out these marketing messages. It's very, very powerful. TripleWill centralizes all the metrics from the tools that you use right into your pocket. They simplify, inform, and save you time. Make sure to check out the link in the description below. All right, next up we have Kieran Finch. They are a, let me just double check here. Yeah, so they actually have women's clothing that are inspired by men, if that makes sense. Let me just kind of show you some examples. So they have like, you know, button-up shirts, sort of like blazers, pants, different things like that actually fit either women or non-binary people. And it's actually pretty unique. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this. So one, they're a pretty unique store, but two, I would say the biggest thing for me on the store is their use of inspiration, or the use of influencers, and the use of real people actually wearing their product. To try to explain this concept to someone without actually providing these visuals, it's going to be really, really hard. So they've done a really good job, and even on the top of the navigation, they have something called the Dapper Scouts. So these are sort of like their influencers, right? People who are actually wearing their product and showcasing real people. And I guess the key word here is they're featuring influencers. This is something that a lot of brands don't do. A lot of brands actually go out and they want influencers to wear their product and talk about it on their social medias, but then going back and doing on the opposite side, going back to their website and featuring those influencers, is something that I haven't seen before. And I think that it makes them very unique because of that. So they actually go in detail and talk about each of these people. They talk about a little bit of their background and why they love their brand and how they're using their brand. And at the same time, you're also being inspired, right, by the outfits that they put together for themselves from, the items that you can buy right directly from here. Again, this is something that is very unique to this brand. I haven't seen it done anywhere else. And I think they're doing a really, really good job with it by, again, blending their branding and their community together, right, into just one place. So if you have influencers, consider doing something like this. Consider featuring your influencers on your website wearing your products. All right, so Rothy's, I think that's what it's called. Something very unique about them is the use of perspective on their photography and labels for their products. Two different things that we haven't really talked too much about, but I think so for perspective, something that caught my attention with them is the fact that when you think about shoes on any website, you don't ever think about presenting them in this way. Above, with both shoes right next to each other. It makes them unique, right? So think about ways on how to present your products with unique perspectives that you may not have seen before, especially for sort of like this first, impression, product image that you see right away. Obviously they have for the purses, they have, your typical like front shot. But for the shoes, they're doing that above, picture that kind of showcases a shoe in a different light. It's actually how the customer would see their shoes when they put them on, right? This is exactly what you would see, obviously with your legs in them, but it's just a very unique way to represent their product, especially for that first image. They have other images, right, that kind of go back to the normal photography that you would see for shoes. But again, that first impression when you first land on this and you start seeing some of these products, it's like, that's unique, right? So again, trying to find ways and different perspectives on how to showcase your product with photography. That's not your typical just like front shot and kind of like, that's it, call it a day, and it's boring. Now, the other great thing that they're doing is the use of labels. So labels is something that, again, it's just like a very subtle thing, but right within this collection here, you see that new at the very top for some of these products. Let me see, I thought they had, but I thought they had some other ones where, and I actually might have a different example, where it just showcases different labels depending on the product. So Last Object is the name of the company. But they use these labels right within their product photography, where this one in particular says, eliminates 1,000 single-use swabs. So the whole point about this company is that you're replacing, for example, like swabs or maybe tissue paper or different things like that with things that could be used more than once. So you can actually wash this and reuse it again instead of using a swab and then having to throw it away and grab new ones every single time. So because of that, they've actually added these sort of labels, right, to their product imagery. And to be honest, you can do it within the product imagery or you can do it outside, just like Rothy's was doing with the news in here. You could do things like on sale or maybe items that are falling with a short stock, essentially. You can include that in there. Or again, you can insert some of your language and your brand into some of these where instead of just saying new, you could be like, these are hot or something like that, right? Where you're trying to tell people like, hey, these products are actually doing better. Maybe this purse, great for camping. I don't know. And doing different ways like that. So again, it's not just a typical boring grid of products. You're actually giving the customer some context for your products with the use of labels. All right, and then lastly, we have Velasca. This website overall is very unique. It has a lot of different things. It has illustrations for products, which I'm going to show you here in a second. It has an animated Instagram section, which is pretty cool. And then it has a cutout for the pop-up, and it actually has matching language. So they're actually using a lot of different things that we talked about before and just kind of like put it all in here. Number one, which we haven't really talked about here, is the use of like unique fonts, right? That's something that you can also do to highlight different things. And they're doing it right here within the navigation. This Velasca is technically for men. So this whole website is technically for men, right? Men clothing products. But then they also have a women's division, and it's for her. And as you can see, it's a very unique font tilted to the side right here within the navigation, where when you click on it, then you get to Velasca for women. And they have it, on each of them, for him on this one and then for her on the other one. But very, very unique use of the typography or the fonts in order to highlight something on the site. Very, very cool. On top of that, obviously custom illustrations for what they do. The other big thing was let me see if I can make it pop again. The pop-up was actually pretty cool because they use a cutout of the actual photography, and I'll see if I can actually pull it up again, but we'll see. Something very unique that I haven't seen done before is also this Instagram grid in here, and as you can see, the videos automatically play, so they're on like a little loop. So again, just giving you a little bit more context, it just looks really nice. I don't know why this chat won't close. We're gonna reopen it again. And then the other thing is, you know, user language. So take the first step. So some of the items that they have obviously is the shoes. So taking the first step. So again, instead of just the typical join our newsletter, you know, take the first step. So they're using that unique language and unique verbiage all throughout the website. They're using unique illustrations, the use of video, again, all trying to come together to form this brand. And then the other thing here is these custom illustrations for their products. I've only seen this done once before for a different product as well. But again, just having, instead of the actual imagery in here, actual illustrations to showcase, you know, what some of these products are. They even have it for accessories, so like something like belts. Like at a glance, you can just truly understand all the products that they offer by just doing these custom, just very subtle and nice illustrations. As you can see, like, because this is sort of a higher end, higher tier brand, you won't see illustrations that look gimmicky or cartoony, right? These are like very nice, detailed, fine line illustrations. And so that's something also that's very important that ties it back to the brand, right? The use of illustration depends on, and the way that these illustrations are displayed on the website have to do with your brand and how you communicate with your customers and your actual clientele. All right, so hopefully you were taking some notes, and hopefully you're able to implement some of these things, right? This is something that, again, a lot of people do miss. So we gave you 10 different websites for you to look at and 10 different examples of why it works. If you are interested in going maybe a little bit further and maybe finding more specifically on product pages, then we made a video on that too, on the 10 best Shopify product pages examples that we could find. And again, for you to steal or copy some of the things that they're doing on those product pages. I believe almost all of them are going to be completely different than the one on this video. So go ahead and check that video out if you haven't already, because it will give you a lot of good examples and a lot of good things that you can do for your Shopify store. See you on the next one.